Welcome into the NFL Opening Line Report, Week 18, an ever important show. They're all important, but especially this one, the last week of the regular season. I am Drew Martin, joined by Teddy Covers. We're going down each and every game, getting you on the right side of these NFL line moves. Without further ado, happy Tuesday morning to you, Teddy. Welcome on in, buddy.
Yeah, hopefully this will be the only Tuesday show that we have to do all year. Obviously Drew and I will be doing opening line reports right through the Super Bowl, and we'll do another one the day after the Super Bowl, talking about some of the openers that we're seeing for next year. So we've got another, 6-7 of these to go before we close the books on the 2023 campaign. And Drew, obviously week 18, it's a minefield out there. It really is. And let me, I was going to throw back to you, but let me just go for a minute.
Absolutely.
You're a bookmaker. You're an odds maker. I'm going to talk about one team in particular. All right. Let's talk about the Chargers and the Chiefs. Every starter is supposed to sit for Kansas City. How do you price them? Are they Carolina? Carolina prices the worst team in the NFL. Are they worse than Carolina? How many points worse than Carolina is Kansas City if every starter is sitting and every backup is in? What if only half the starters sit? What about a team like the Chargers, who, if you watched them play in Denver last week, all their starters are already hurt, so it doesn't matter if they start. There's a lot of complicated questions for Week 18. Talking to bookmakers around town, and again, I've been in Vegas since '98. This is the most difficult week of the season for bookmakers. They're happy to break even in Week 18. And when it comes to predicting these line moves are going to come based on coaching decisions. It's almost like a preseason week in that regard. The coach is going to say, hey, we're playing our guys. Hey, we're not. Our game plan is this. Our game plan is that. And the markets will move based on those coaches' quotes throughout the week. So in terms of predicting line moves today, I don't know how many emergency betting alerts we're going to have. I'll just leave it at that.
Fair enough, Teddy. No, it makes total sense. The minefield that is Week 18. Guys, feel free to fire away any questions in the comments below, in the live chat, as well as we're going down Saturday games first, then the Sunday games. Also, maybe a little college football bonus at the end for the national championship game. But Teddy, let's start off here. Saturday, January 6th, 4:30 Eastern, 467, 468, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. We are seeing the Steelers -3 in the hook as the road favorite, 36.5 being the total. Steelers at the Ravens here, Teddy.
Now, on a normal opening line report, I give you guys 4 sets of numbers. I give you the look-ahead lines. Those are the bettable numbers from last week. I give you my powering number. I'll give you where the lines opened and then where they've moved. In this instance, for Week 18, there were some books that posted look-ahead lines for Week 18. The Westgate did not, and the Westgate doesn't do it for Week 18. I'm not going to take the same book, and I've been using their opening numbers all year for the look headlines, and they go, oh, I use a different book this week, in large part because I don't trust the other book. The Westgate Super numbers, I know they're good. The other book, they put up numbers, and they just get bet to crap every week. So the bottom line is I don't have look-aheads for today. The powering numbers, I do have. And let's start. We're talking Pittsburgh and Baltimore, correct? As the first game?
That is correct.
Powering number. And again, my powering numbers are based on a team at full strength. I didn't take out all the points for who's going to sit. It's a pure powering number of how good this team is. And Baltimore's a 10-point favorite based on my powering number. Now, the markets opened Pittsburgh -3.5. Obviously, the Ravens have clinched. In theory, they're going to rest starters. Total 37.5, 38. We've seen lots of under money come. The 37.5, 38 have been bet down to 36. And the market's pretty much sitting at 3.5 today. There were 4s. They've been bet back down to 3.5. Now, Baltimore was in the same spot just a couple of years ago. I think it was, I don't remember which season it was, in a recent season that they were talking about, where they had clinched home field. And then they sat everyone in Week 17, and they lost their playoff opener. And John Harbaugh's quotes were basically non-committal. That being said, Harbaugh was real happy with what Baltimore has done. They won 6 straight games, and you're talking about they just beat the Rams, the Jaguars, the 49ers, the Dolphins, all playoff caliber teams. Quote from Harbaugh, I don't know if I've seen a more impressive performance in a game. I'm not sure I've seen a more impressive performance in a season to date. Obviously, we have a lot more to do. We have a lot of work to do in front of us, but this is a mature football team. And that's a quote that says, reading between the lines, maybe I trust them to sit them out this week, even with the bye coming on deck. Because we've seen the coaches that sit the starters week 18, and then the bye week comes, and then all of a sudden it's 2 weeks since anyone's played, and 19 and 20 days, and sometimes you see some shoddy performances. It sounds like Harbaugh is going in that direction. Clients and I cashed with Pittsburgh and Seattle the other day. I thought that was an easy wager. I did not think the Seahawks should be laying more than a field goal to anyone, and not with their run defense. And I mean, Pittsburgh had 202 rushing yards in that ballgame. Najee Harris after the game, we got to win out. This is playoffs for us. Exiting right now is the biggest thing. Certainly no losing season still for Tomlin. But from a value standpoint, again, the market's only interested in the team that's in the must-win, Pittsburgh. You're going to lay a premium if you want to back them. Again, Baltimore, a healthy Ravens team is a 10-point favorite over the Steelers. Just leave it at that.
Good point there, Teddy. And guys, 2 games on Saturday before the Sunday slate, the nightcap here. Houston and Indianapolis. This is 8:15 Eastern, 5:15 Pacific kick. 47.5 being the total right now here, Teddy. -1 at most shops. That's the Colts as the home favorite. There is a key global book, actually -1 on the other side, Texans as the favorite. But the consensus number here, Colts -1 at home, Teddy.
Yeah, my powering number is India half-point favorite. I write that as pick/1. So basically, right when the number opened, it opened 1. It's sitting at 1. Total 47.5. Hasn't moved a whole lot between these two teams, at least early on. And it doesn't. I mean, again, this is a win and you're in game. So it's the NFL likes these type of games to have as single event games on Saturday night. I don't anticipate we're going to see a whole lot of line move on this one. When it comes to these two teams for the season finale playing for a playoff spot, CJ Stroud, listen to this quote. The time is now. It's not next year. It's not the year after that. It's right now. We have the opportunity to control our own destiny. I'm excited to do that. And of course, with Stroud back on the field, talk about a clean game for Texas. Only 1 penalty, no turnovers. It was clean football. The defense was dominant. They knocked the starting quarterback out of the game, allowed only 1 of 12 on third downs, only 11 first downs, only 3.5 yards per play, shut down Derrick Henry. D'Amico Ryans, quote, he raises everyone, talking about Stroud, he raises everyone's level of confidence because everyone knows what type of player that he is. He's a big-time playmaker. He continues to show it week after week. We're excited to have CJ back. He's a really great player. Certainly, when we talk about the Texans, a team that came into the season with low expectations, just like Indy, it's a team that I'm in no rush to step in front of. Even in a game of this magnitude, I like the quotes coming out of Houston, and I certainly like the way that team has played football. As for Indy, found a way to beat the Raiders, to keep themselves alive in this playoff stake. Jonathan Taylor, 21 rushes, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Quote, everyone knew what was at stake. I think that having that mindset, no matter how the game was turning out, every single time we stepped on that field, offense, defense, special teams, you guys have to do your job at a high level, higher than you've ever done it before, because we've been in that situation before, and we know what we have to do. We have to win. Indy's got the right mindset. 6.6 yards per play on offense. That being said, defense allowed 26 first downs. And with my number coming Indy -0.5 point, that tells us my priority number says Houston is the better of these two teams. We'll see if they can get it done with a rookie QB and a playoff berth on the line on Saturday night.
Saturday games in the books, and TC bringing the heat with the quotes. And Teddy, a lot of people in the comments last week saying the quotes are a big-time deal. So we are listening, and Teddy doing his homework this week. Guys, we're going down in rotation order for the Sunday slate here, January 7th. We got Dallas and Washington top of the card here, Teddy. 4:25 Eastern, 1:25 Pacific kick. It's 4-5-1, 4-5-2. Guys, the Sunday games we're going down in rotation order here. Cowboys minus 13-point favorites across the board here, Teddy. 45.5 being the total in our nation's capital.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, last week it was Christmas, man. It was, what are you going to do? I hate not doing my homework. But the one thing I learned from that is don't wait until Monday night before you go through the quotes, because maybe it doesn't get done. So New Year's Eve, you know what I was doing, Drew? I was sitting in my office putting this stuff together because I knew if I waited, I might not get done. So I just did my normal Sunday routine, and that's that. That being said, Cowboys and Commanders. My powering number is Dallas minus 11.5, and I've got Washington as one of the three worst teams in the NFL. The market's 13.5 down to 13 today. Total was as high as 48.5, got bet as low as 44 last night, has been bet back up this morning to 45.5. So that's been a wild ride for the Cowboys Commanders total. You know, and I mean, Dallas survived in advance against the Lions. I guess we can call it that. Of course, you know, the McCarthy calling plays that are incomplete passes when trying to run out the clock to give the Lions extra time is one of the reasons that many of the wise guys that I know don't respect Mike McCarthy as much as some of the other successful head coaches in the NFL. That being said, Cowboys, you know, perfect home record since 1980/1981. They're not going to be on the road at home, I should say. For this one, they're on the road. And the Commanders, of course, it was the most awkward situation for the Commanders there could be. You know, you bench Sam Howell for Jacoby Brissett early in the week, and then Brissett gets hurt in practice, and Howell has to start. Oops. And Howell was okay, 17-28, $169, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Ron Rivera, I thought Sam had some really good moments. Obviously, there's a couple throws I promise you we wish you could have back, but he did a lot of good things. Washington was outgained by 180 yards. They were -2 in turnovers. They lost 27-10. It could have been much worse. But this is a team that's lost 7 in a row now. They have a lame duck head coach, and we're not going to see a lot of betting market excitement about Washington for their season finale, even against their rival Cowboys. So, you know, the 13.5 got bought out down to 13, but this isn't a week where, you know, at least this bettor is expecting a whole lot. I mean, maybe Washington fights the good fight in this one and give Dallas a game. Certainly the Cowboys haven't been the type of team you want to lay 13 points on the highway, but Washington's a tough team to put my money on right now. I'm not convinced that they show up for the season finale.
Sure, Teddy. Another afternoon kick up next. 4-5-3, 4-5-4. LA Rams, San Francisco 49ers. We're seeing 49ers -3. There is some shops -3 with juice right now. That's 49ers as the home favorite. Teddy, 42.5 being the consensus total here. Rams at Niners.
Yeah, and again, there's the looks. San Fran has clinched the number 1 seed. There's a thought process that the 49ers are going to sit everybody. There's a thought process that they're not, and we don't know yet. I know McCaffrey's out, but that's it. Again, powering number, I do not adjust for what teams are in, who's playing and who's not. San Fran, I got 9.5 over the Rams. The adjustments you're going to make are you're going to try to say, all right, are all the guys that are sitting worth the 6.5 points? And San Fran, again, it was 3.5 and 42.5 last night. It was 3.5 and 42.5 this morning. So there's been a group that just took out all the 3.5s for San Francisco. You know, and this is a Rams team. They were 3-6. They went into their bye week. They're 6-1 since the only loss coming in overtime against number 1 seed Baltimore in a game that the Rams could have easily won. So it's certainly a Rams team whose full season numbers don't fully indicate what they've been doing in recent weeks. And of course, the Rams are coming off a game in which they didn't play well. You know, Sean McVay, uncharacteristic of playing sharp, good football that I know we're capable of. Made some uncharacteristic mistakes by some of our guys. I'm excited about being able to say, hey, it's going to be a lot more fun cleaning these things up after a win. They got the second best record in the NFL since that Week 10 bye. They're averaging 29 points per game since Week 11. That's third most in the NFL during that span. And of course, you know, and they're looking to go back to the playoffs after a 5-12 season and following a Super Bowl victory. So we know McVay has been pretty good in these type of ball games, late season games that matter. The 49ers clinched the top seed in the NFC. They clinched the first round bye. They clinched the home field advantage. Linebacker Fred Warner. Thank you, Cardinals. Back in 2019, the last time San Fran had this. It took us winning in Seattle on the very last play of the game to secure the number 1 seed. The fact that we were able to get it with 1 game left this season is big. Brock Purdy had a nice bounce back after the Baltimore debacle, to be able to come in and get the ball moving, throw it around to the guys, obviously get the offense to flow again and feeling it. It felt good. We'll have to see, again, starting the starters and finishing the game with the starters can be 2 very different things in Week 18. This is one where you want to try to read between the lines and some of the quotes from Kyle Shanahan, see how San Fran is approaching this game. San Fran's A game. Not an A game I'm in any rush to step in front of, but I doubt we see anything like that here. And I would not be surprised at all. Again, the 3.5 already got taken out. I would not be surprised at all to see the Rams continue to take money as San Fran in and out starters get announced throughout the course of the week.
Teddy, next game up, we get the AFC East Division Championship game. Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. Sunday night, 8:20 Eastern, 5:20 Pacific, -3. That is the Buffalo Bills as the road favorite. 50.5 being the total. Bills at Dolphins in Miami Gardens here, Teddy.
Yeah, and this is the AFC East title on the line on Sunday night. And again, one of the reasons why I'm not talking about the look-aheads this week. Again, the book that posted look-aheads posted Miami -1.5, which in my opinion is a really bad number, and the good books wouldn't have done that. That's why I'm not bringing up the look-ahead line. I mean, it's just a bad number, especially given the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins injury report's a nightmare. And Buffalo, again, they didn't cover against New England. They allowed a kick return touchdown, but they did win their 4th straight, their 5th and 6th games. The offense, they have a touchdown and 2 field goals off of 3 takeaways inside the Patriots 30 in the first half. Steph Diggs would shut down. There wasn't much there for Josh Allen and company. And, of course, it's a Bills defense. Darius White still hurt. Matt Milano still hurt. Ed Oliver. There are issues with Buffalo's defense. That being said, they forced 4 turnovers last week. Held New England to 16 first downs and under 300 yards. Rasul Douglas, resilience, relentlessness. We always fight. I think we got our identity now and know what we are capable of doing. Of course, he was a trade deadline acquisition from Green Bay. He's been a difference maker for that Bills secondary. Miami coming off a pretty ugly showing at Baltimore, to put it mildly. The defense allowed 8.9 yards per play. 8.9 yards per play. Maybe about 5 touchdowns and 5 red zone attempts. The offense turned the ball over 3 times. And obviously, you're without Jalen Waddle. You're without Raheem Mostert. But the bigger issue for Miami is the defensive injuries, and they're significant. Now it's linebacker Bradley Chubb, who was on the field with his team down by 30 points in the 4th quarter. He got carted off with 3 minutes left. He's out for the year. Xavier Howard hurt, and this is on top of already a bevy of injuries for Miami. They get a chance to do everything right. If they knock off the Bills here, they'll win the division. And Tua Tagovailoa's quote tells us that this team, while a little bit frustrated and disappointed after the Baltimore loss, I don't think they've thrown in the towel. Quote from Tua: "We'll look at the film tomorrow, see what we can do better, and move on to the Bills. Everything is still in front of us for what we want to accomplish as a team." And that's definitely worth remembering, with Miami coming off a particularly ugly defeat this past week. Like I said, my number's much closer to pick 'em than the markets, but Miami's injury report does concern me a fair bit.
457, 458. Next game up, Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints. We're seeing the Saints -3-point home favorites. Most sports books right now have a little juice on that. That's the Saints as the home favorite. 42.5 being the total. I guess a rivalry game here in the NFL with the Falcons visiting the Saints in the Big Easy here, Teddy.
Yeah, and there's still a path. Even after yesterday's loss or Sunday's loss, there's still a path for the Falcons to win this division. They have to win this game, and Tampa has to lose at Carolina, and Atlanta wins the winner is live to win the 3-way tiebreaker. And I think that's why we're seeing Falcons money. I was surprised by this. Powering number, Saints 4, opened 4, bet down to 3.5 last night, bet down to 3 this morning. The Falcons are clearly not made for cold, snowy conditions, as we saw in Chicago over the weekend. Then Young-Ho Koo missed those 2 early field goals, deflated the offense. The defense kept on giving up these 3rd and longs, deflated the defense. Heineke got, hurt / benched late, awful game. And then, of course, Ritter came in and threw a pick. After the game, the quotes were season over quotes. Drake London, you want to go out there and try to win, try to execute plays, and it sucks. Sometimes we can't pull through. We've been trying for a while now, and we just got to keep on going and make the best of the situation. That's not a bet on quote for this better. For New Orleans, the Saints get the win, get the money. They gained 4.4 yards per play and allowed 7. All right. They're a +4 in turnovers. Derek Carr, until we run out of time, I'm going to keep believing and keep working. We can't feel satisfied because we got to win. We came in with the expectation to win. It feels good, but we got to play another team we haven't beat this year. I'm looking forward to that match. The Saints was a nice rebound after that bad Thursday night game against the Rams. Dennis Allen, I've never questioned the mindset of our team. I never questioned the toughness. I never questioned the competitiveness of our team. The way we play, the game we play is hard. It's not easy. There's sometimes you got to fight back after a tough loss. But I told the team last night we got to handle hard well, and I thought the players did that. I still don't trust New Orleans. These are two teams I don't trust, plain and simple. Not a game I'm likely to be involved in, even though the winner still alive to win the division.
Heading back to the afternoon kicks up next, Teddy. 4:25 Eastern, 1:25 Pacific kick. 459-460 Philadelphia Eagles, New York Football Giants. We're seeing the Eagles -5-point road favorites. There is a 5 in the hook out there in the global market. 41 being the total. Eagles at Giants here, Teddy.
Yeah, my powering number, even after Philly's recent collapse, is 5.5. The market's open 5.5, 6 last night. Total 45.5. We've seen the total crash on this down to 41, and the Giants have taken a little bit of money, 5.5, 6 down to -5. And I get it; it's hard to lay a price. Let's put it. I can't lay a price with Philly right now. Nick Sirianni knows it. Quote, we have to get things fixed, and we have to get them fixed fast. This is a team that started 10-1 and was very lucky when they started 10-1. They're 1-4 since, and it's everything that's falling apart. The offense isn't working. The defense had one of the worst DVO games in recent memory. Arizona, 449 total yards. They scored touchdowns on all 4 second-half possessions without their top receiver. It's the defense that's falling apart right now. James Bradbury, quote, I think things were rolling our way last year. We made mistakes at times throughout the year, but at the end of the day, we found a way to rally and make a play. We just haven't been able to do that right now. I think that's what we're missing. We just got to go be able to make a play and do make a play when we need to. Questions about whether Nick Sirianni still has the backing of players. Jordan Mailata, quote, yes, why would you say that? It's the NFL. It's any given Sunday. We got our teeth punching today because we went out there and I thought we were going to be a pushover. No, Nick has not lost a locker room. I'm going to end it right there. Jalen Hurts, we still have everything in front of us. I get it. I don't want any part of this Eagles right now. They're a one-way team. I'm not betting on Philly. And of course, Arizona rushed for 221 yards and punt against them. The Giants went for the win. I'll give them credit for that. And then Tyrod Taylor missed a wide open Saquon Barkley. And then, Barkley, he had him again on the next drive, and he missed him again. And that might happen. But Tyrod Taylor, certainly of the quarterback options the Giants have, he's the best one they have. Mason Crosby missed a 54-yarder to win. And I get you worry about whether a team is going to be able to fight back after losing a heartbreaker in a late season game. When it's a division foe, they tend to do that. Yeah, Giants are on my short list for this week, though. Money's coming for the G-men. You want to get down on the Giants, I bet them sooner rather than later.
Battle for Ohio up next here, guys. 461, 462, 1 o'clock Eastern kick. Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals. We're seeing the Bengals now, Teddy, -6-point home favorites, 39 being the total. Cleveland at Cincinnati here, TC.
Yeah, and again, from a pure power rating standpoint, my numbers here is Cincy -0.5. I got a pick /1, which says that Cleveland's a better team on a neutral field, but it also says, hey, watch out because the Browns are resting starters this week. Joe Flacco, 1,600 yards in 5 starts. 4 straight games with 300-plus yards. Though, he's thrown at least 1 interception in every game, 8 interceptions in his 5 games. He threw a pick 6 again this past weekend. But, the guy's just chucking it downfield, 8.5, 8.8, 10.7 yards per pass attempt the last 3 games. And, of course, he's 4-1 straight up as a starter. They clinched the playoff spot. Joe Flacco, you want to bet against quote? You don't know how many of these moments you're going to get. I'm going to remember this moment for the rest of my life. And, of course, Cleveland, 12 players in injured reserve. They're missing both first-team offensive tackles. They're on their 4th starting quarterback. They went to this game. They have kicker issues. They have punter issues. Amari Cooper didn't play last week. Yeah, I can understand why Cincy is the chalk here. But you want to lay 6 with 7. The offense gained 3.7 yards per play last week. The defense gave up 7. They still were live, and now they're not live anymore after losing. And then you want a real bet against quote for Week 18. Look at this one from Zach Taylor for a Bengals team that's been making deep postseason runs. And this year they're not in the playoffs. Quote, every guy left it all on the field. It was an emotional game, physical game. All the things we knew would happen happened. You have to give Kansas City credit for beating us. They got it done down the stretch. That, to me, is a pretty strong bet against quote for a season finale for any team that's laying 6, especially when they got out. Again, the offense gained 3.7 yards per play. The defense gave up 7. So we'll see who Cleveland plays this week. I know this much. I ain't laying with Cincinnati.
Like the breakdown there, Teddy. We get bet against quotes on both sides, it sounds like. So Cleveland, Cincinnati in the books. Chicago, Green Bay. Next game up here, Teddy. 4:25 Eastern, 1:25 Pacific kick. We're seeing the Packers -3. There is some juice on that 3, and there is a 3 in the hook out there. That's the Packers as the home favorite. 44 being the total in Lambeau, Teddy.
Yeah, Green Bay is being priced with some must-win here. And my powering number is 2/2.5. Look headline here was 2. The market's open 3, and now we're seeing 3.5 because Green Bay is still alive for the postseason. Bears were great this past weekend. That was an impressive showing, winning by 20, 192 rushing yards on 5.2 yards per carry. Justin Fields, the crowd chanting his name as he left the field, as maybe he cemented himself as a starter for the Bears. Matt Eberflus. I know it's just a couple of wins and all that, but I'm just saying that just to get the vibe of, hey, we can do this, was certainly exciting for the players in there. Justin Fields, another one of these, do you want this guy the next week type of quotes. Quote, I will definitely remember this game for the rest of my life. Just the atmosphere, the fans, the chants, the snow. I don't like snow as a quarterback, but looking back on it was great. The spirit of the fans, the game, playing the hometown team. He's from Georgia. The hometown team where I'm from, beating them. It was so good. That's not a bet on quote for the next game. The Packers, of course. They were up 23-3 at halftime. Andrews keeps missing extra points. A concern. It was a pretty dominant showing for a team that's really shown signs over the second half of the season they can play with anyone. Not surprised Green Bay's taking the money. They're the must-win team here. That being said, if you're playing the Packers, do it now. This one could go to 3.5, and you don't want to be laying a hook with Green Bay against a red-hot Chicago team, even with Chicago coming in a potential flat spot.
NFC West Division battle up next. 1:25 Pacific kick here, Teddy. Seattle at Arizona. We're seeing the Seahawks -3. There is 2.5 out there as well, but mostly -3s. 47.5 or 48 being the total. Seahawks at Cardinals here, Teddy.
Yeah, my powering number only has Seattle -1.5. The Seahawks were 3.5/3 with juice at the open. And now all the 3.5s got taken out. The juice is taken out. The early money has come for Arizona, looking at that WagerTalk live odds screen. It hasn't pushed it off of the 3 yet, but it could. Total 47.5 at the open, 47.5 last night, 47.5 today. Really hasn't done a whole lot. Geno coming off a great game. The offense moved the ball all day against Pittsburgh, 7.5 yards per play. The passing game worked. But the defense was absolutely gashed. 202 rushing yards in that game. 30 points from Pittsburgh, 6.6 yards per play. The Steelers were in the red zone 7 times in that ball game. I don't know that I love these quotes. And again, Seattle went into that game knowing we just need to win 1. We can win out with 2, but if we win 1, we can still get in. Pete Carroll. I was really disappointed missing this opportunity right here at home. Everybody was ready. This was a great one, and we missed it. We weren't right on defense in the run game again. It's been repetitive. You can see it. Safety, Julian Love. It was frustrating to be in the locker room. Of course, everyone has a one-off here or there. You see the results. That happened. Gino, we wanted to control our own destiny. Obviously, we can't do that anymore, but there's no time for us to kind of feel sorry for ourselves. Worth noting, they lost their starting center and their right tackle in that ballgame on the offensive line. So concerns for Seattle. Defensively, mentally, not an easy team for me to lay a price with on the road this week, especially with Arizona coming off a big showing like they just had. Again, the dominant second half, scored on all 4 second-half possessions, rallying back from a 21-6 deficit in a meaningless late-season game on the road. Jonathan Gannon facing his former team, quote, "I'm happy for the players. Honestly, the year has just been a tough year. We didn't earn enough to right play in January in the playoffs. So I was really proud of them, down 21-6 versus a good team. You could lay down there and get beat by 30. Guys did not do that. So really happy for the guys, how they responded all week. And a good win versus a good football team. For the first time all season, Gannon gave the Cardinals a victory Monday, a day off to ring in the new year. So Arizona's coming off a pretty fat and happy win. That may work in Seattle's favor here, especially when we consider Arizona's home field one of the lesser home field advantages in the NFL.
Like the breakdown there, Teddy. Teddy, we've gone over 10 games so far. We're about to hit the 11th, and I think this is the first game where we can guarantee this is their last game of the season, so I'm sure the NFL is smiling about that. But I bring that up because I wonder how big of a part of the handicap and the opening line that is for you. But the game we're talking about here, guys, Jets at Patriots, 30.5 being the total, -2.5 at most shops right now. There is a -2 out there, but -2 in the hook and the consensus line here, Teddy, that is the Patriots as the home favorite hosting the Jets here.
Yeah, look ahead line, or sorry, my powering number is Patriots -2.5. The market's open. It was mostly twos last night, total 33.5, and they took nothing but under money. And a little bit of Patriots money. The twos got bet out to 2.5. 30.5, as you mentioned, one of the lower totals that you're going to see in the NFL. I mean, the Jets had a real rough short week at Cleveland. They beat 37-20. Worth noting, Robert Saleh, 0-4 on short weeks since he became the Jets head coach. They were outscored 117-55 in those ball games. I'm going to file away for next year. Don't worry, I'll file it away. I'll bring it back up. But Robert Saleh has not been good on those short weeks. He's been okay in other situations like this one. Obviously, he's never beaten the Patriots. The Patriots have given the Jets all kinds of problems this year and in every recent season. And of course, the Jets are coming off a game in which they gave up a season high in points and a season high in yards. Jets aren't a quick team, though. You know, Breece Hall. I just tell everyone to get their laughs out now because it's not going to be like that in the near future. We're going to be a lot better. I'm excited to see what we can do. Garrett Wilson. I'm confident that my turn is coming, that our turn is coming. And of course, you know, they got 9 of their 11 starters on defense under contract in 2024. That defense is going to be there. The biggest issue for the Jets all year, besides turnovers and bad quarterback play, is penalties. Most penalties in the NFL this year, third most penalties in Saleh's era. And that's not necessarily the way to beat the Patriots, who got the money in Buffalo, even though they didn't get the W. And again, I keep finding these great David Andrews quotes, New England center, talking about how this team's fighting. Quote, I don't think it was difficult to keep fighting because it was more about us than it was about them. The first half, you can't do that, all those turnovers for the Patriots. You can't turn the ball over 4 times. But no one lost belief. No one lost faith. Obviously, no one quit. The defense shut down Steph Diggs for 4 quarters. Bailey Zappi throws picks, and he's playing a defense that creates picks. That could be a concern if you want to lay a price with New England.
Next game up, we got Jacksonville and Tennessee here. And shout out to DT in the chat box. Teddy, he's the guy that's been commenting below that I'm pronouncing Jacksonville's team mascot incorrectly. So this is for you, DT. The Jacksonville Jaguars at the Tennessee Titans here. We get -5, road favorite, 40 being the total here, Teddy. Have at it. If you want to call them the Jags, that works as well. But what are we thinking here, Jacksonville and Tennessee?
My powering number has the Jags -3 on the road. The markets were 3.5/4 last night, total of 40. Sunday night. And they were bet to 5 last night. Now we're seeing 5.5 this morning. So clearly the money's coming for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that has everything to do with Trevor Lawrence. Whether Trevor Lawrence plays this week or not is going to determine where the money's going to flow. They didn't need Trevor Lawrence against Carolina last week. They held the Panthers to 7 first downs, 1 of 13 on third downs, 124 total yards, and they pitched a shutout. With C.J. Beathard behind center, the play calling in the red zone was just don't turn it over. They went 1 for 5 in the red zone when it came to touchdowns, and it didn't matter. You're up 26-0. Doug Peterson talking about how Jacksonville has been in a lot of these we got to win situations in recent years with their backs against the wall. Peterson says, I think our guys really thrive on these situations, and that's okay. For Tennessee, they got Will Levis back in the lineup. He went 2 of 6 for 16 yards, took a sack, took a hit, and that was the end of him. Ryan Tannehill came back in. He got sacked 5 times. They were only 21 of 53 running the ball at Houston. Derrick Henry was a non-factor. 1 of 12 on third downs, only 3.5 yards per play. Mike Vrabel. We said it wouldn't announce who his starting quarterback's going to be this week. We don't know if it's going to be, we don't know for Tennessee just yet. Quote, we got to do a better job of protecting whoever's back there throwing the football. Ryan Tannehill, we just got to do a better job. We just got to do better of doing our job all around. If it's blocking, then blocking. If it's catching, then catching. If it's throwing, then throwing. Yeah. So Tennessee fights for Vrabel. All right. I don't expect them to lay down in this ballgame in their season finale against a team that's fighting for a postseason berth. The question is whether they're good enough. Jacksonville, a mediocre team trying to win a division. Again, Jags win and they're in. It's just that simple. But lose and they're out. So Peterson talking about how the team's had success and been in these type of spots plenty in recent years. That is something in Jacksonville's favor.
Like it, Teddy. We got next game up, 475, 476, 425 Eastern, 125 Pacific kick here. Not far from where Teddy Covers is talking right now. Denver Broncos at the Las Vegas Raiders. It's Raiders -2.5 is the home favorite. There is a -3 out there at the Westgate, Teddy. 38 being the total. Broncos at Raiders from Vegas.
Yeah, it's pretty much from my house, you got to make one turn to get to Allegiant Stadium. And it's maybe, 5 miles up the road. It's not far. That being said, I will not be going to this game. I don't go to games on NFL Sundays. If I'm going to a Raiders game, it's going to be a Thursday night or a Monday night affair or a Saturday night, something where it's a single event. My powering number has Raiders -1.5. The market's open 2.5, 38 on Sunday night. There were 2.5, 38 last night and still pretty much today. The same basic number. There is a 37.5 in a leading indicator book right now. For Denver, they're really shorthanded receiver right now. Cortland Sutton's out. Marvin Mims is out. Their playoff chances doomed when Kansas City beat Cincinnati. They haven't been in the playoffs since winning the Super Bowl in 2015. There were lots of concerns about the chemistry with Russell Wilson being on the bench and Jarrett Stidham being the starter. Sean Payton, quote, you'll have to be able to ask the appropriate people. Russ has been fantastic this week. Jarrett Stidham, agreed. We're communicating on the sideline. I can't speak highly enough about him. Stidham, 20 of 32, 223, 1 touchdown, no picks. Most of it was yards after catch. He was not firing downfield. There was a lot of dink and dunk and a lot of yards after catch. First win as a starter since leading Auburn to a 63-14 win over Purdue in the Music City Bowl, December 2018. So we'll give Stidham some credit for that ballgame. Denver was not impressive in that ballgame. They beat a team that was worse than they were, found a way to win. Of course, the Raiders got eliminated from a playoff chase as well. Devontae Adams, a monster game, 13, 126, 2 touchdowns. Samir White, 20 for 71 on the ground. Antonio Pierce after the game. Guys are disappointed. Why wouldn't you be? We had a great opportunity. There was no guarantee we were going to get into the playoffs. A lot of things would still have to go our way, but these guys are proud about being Raiders. I'm proud to be coaching them. Certainly Pierce coaching for his job or his potential job. And I'm expecting the Raiders to show up this week. Denver, we'll have to see.
Love the Music City Bowl since 2018. Teddy, that Auburn team beat back-to-back number one teams in the country, Alabama and Georgia, then lost to Georgia in the SEC championship game, knocking them out. What I'm getting at, that was a really good roster, guys, and one of the reasons I don't like to bet on Jared Stidham in the NFL because he was like laughing after the game. But anyway, I hold it against them. I want the guys that are in it to win it type deal. But Teddy, moving down here, Minnesota and Detroit, we get the Lions minus 3-point home favorites, 45 being the total. 1:00 Eastern kick here, Teddy.
So powering number here is 6. And again, that's Detroit at full strength. The talk from Dan Campbell is that he's going to have his starters out there. That's the initial talk. Now, whether the starters, one of the things you want to be aware of, when a coach says, yeah, I'm going to play my starters, is he going to play his starters for 4 quarters? Or is he going to get them some work and then they'll be sitting on the bench after halftime when point spreads get decided? That's a concern. Obviously, if you like the Detroit side of the equation, the markets are telling us that again. My number for Detroit is 6. The market's open 4. There were anywhere from 4.5 to 6 after yesterday. Split market with the total sitting at 46 when Campbell said he's going to play some guys, and then we've seen some Minnesota money since and a little bit of under money since that time. And, of course, the Lions, the 2-point conversion heard around the world. Dan Campbell, would you be frustrated right now? I don't like losing, and that's what happened. We lost, and that bothers me. I don't like having an L, so that's the frustration. Jared Goff, it's unfortunate, man. I don't know if you had this feeling before where you feel like you won, and then you didn't. They ran all night against Dallas's defense. I have no problem with Dan Campbell going for 2 from the 2. Going for 2 from the 7 multiple times is not exactly what I would have done. Pass defense torched again. CeeDee Lamb 13 for 227, including that 90-plus yarder. That's Detroit's Achilles heel. Of course, I know that Minnesota's primed to take advantage of it. They were beat up pretty bad by Green Bay in a spot where they're supposed to show up. Jaron Hall, well, I told you guys wasn't any good. And he got benched at halftime, and Nick Mullins came back in. I don't know what Minnesota's plan is just yet, but I know that this is probably not a game. This is going to be a game where you're going to have to read between the lines in all kinds of different ways. I think there are better opportunities on the NFL card probably than this one.
Guys, we've got 2 games left here on the NFL Sunday slate. NFL opening line report and a bonus national championship. Washington and Michigan, the Huskies and the Wolverines. We'll break that one down from an opening line report perspective. We get Tampa Bay and Carolina up next here, Teddy. We are seeing the Buccaneers minus 5 in the hook as the road favorite, 37.5 being the total. Bucks at Panthers.
Real quick, I just want to let you guys know, as we speak, money pouring in on Houston against Indy. The Texans now road favorites in many spots. If you like the Texans, be aware they're taking money right now. If you like Indy, no rush to get to the betting window. So when these line moves happen as we speak, I like to let you guys know. And we are seeing Texans money right now for Saturday night in Indy. When it comes to Carolina and Tampa Bay, my powering number is the the Buccaneers 6.5-point favorites. Tampa open 5.5, still sitting at 5.5. Total open 37.5, still sitting at 37.5. This line really hasn't moved. And of course, you read the quotes from Todd Bowles after Tampa lost to New Orleans. Quote, "It doesn't matter who we played today. Good team, bad team, a college team, a high school team. We wouldn't have won." That's ripping your team pretty good. Yeah. Baker Mayfield, a very different approach. Quote, "Luckily, we have one more game to seal this thing. Again, backs against the wall. It's somewhere we've been before. We've got to get it fixed and move forward. All you need is a chance to get in, and we're still sitting right now where we need to be." And of course, they turned the ball over just twice when they went 4 in a row to get back into the race. And then they lost turnover battle 4-0 against the Saints. That was the issue, was making mistakes. But also they couldn't run the football. This team, when they win, they run. Only 1 rushing first down. Rachaad White, very disappointing. To be honest with you, this is sickening. We didn't come out to play. They got us out of the jump. We came out dry, no juice, no energy. They hit us in the mouth. Of course, they gained 7 yards per play and allowed only 4.4. But the -4 turnovers is going to doom anyone. As for Carolina, 7 first downs, 1 of 13 on third downs. And by the way, 7 first downs, they were 3 of 6 on fourth downs, which means they got 4 first downs when they weren't going for it on fourth the entire game. They clinched the number 1 draft choice. Who goes to Chicago? Then the owner, David Tepper, looked like he threw a drink into the crowd at the end of the game.
Oh, yeah.
It's not pretty for Carolina right now. Not pretty at all. Bryce Young was sacked 6 times. Yeah, not fun at all. It's on us. It's what we put out. It's our tape. It's what we did. We own it, accept it. It is what it is, but it's not fun. And they don't have a kicker either. Eddie Pinheiro got hurt in pregame warmups and didn't play. My money's not going on the Carolina Panthers for their season finale. It's Tampa or pass for this better, but you're laid a premium with the Bucs. That said, I think they're saying the right thing off of that no-show game. If there's one must-win team that I would play this week, Tampa might be that. A must-win against a non-must-win team. The Bucs are a lot better than the Panthers, and the Bucs are coming off a pretty shitty game.
And guys, it is -5 in the hook. There is one global shop showing -5 Bucs as the road favorite. Last game here for the NFL slate, 4:25 Eastern, 1:25 Pacific, 481, 482, Kansas City Chiefs, LA Chargers here, Teddy. Chargers -3-point home favorites, 36 being the total. AFC West matchup here, Chiefs at Chargers from Inglewood.
So the Chargers are a bottom 5 team right now. Okay, my powering number, and again, this is Kansas City healthy with all their starters playing, but my powering number is Kansas City -12 on the road in LA, and I give the Chargers one of the lowest home field edges in all of football as well. So I understand that one would expect Andy Reid to rest everyone. I get it. The Chargers played whoever they have left. When you look at the Chargers lineup right now, there's like, who? What? Who's this guy? Obviously Herbert's gone. The top 3 receivers are gone. There's nobody. It's Easton Stick throwing a bunch of guys you never heard of right now. This is not a team that has started. I get it. KC's resting starters. The Chargers are resting starters too. They're just all hurt. Easton Stick. I just really frustrated, and I think we all are because we don't have the results. Right now, we're not winning football games, and that hurts. It's an interim coach. It's a dead season. I want no part of laying 3 with the Chargers, and I'm shocked how again, even if the Chiefs sit every starter, the Chargers aren't all that much better. My primary number is KC -12, and the Chiefs will sit every starter. I get it. That to me is one of those week 17 lines that just stands out that if you're going to get involved, it's not with laying 3 with LA. I'll leave it at that. Or week 18. Sorry.
Bonus pick up next, guys. College Football National Championship, 7:30. I'll take the over on that, actually. But on the ESPN networks here, it's the Washington Huskies, Michigan Wolverines, NRG Stadium, Houston, Texas, where the Texans play their home games. Monday, January 8th here, Teddy, 55.5 being the total. -4.5 across the board right now. That is Michigan as the favorite. We get the Huskies, we get the Wolverines, number 1 versus number 2, undefeated versus undefeated, Conference of Champions versus Big Ten. What do you think in opening line report here, Washington and Michigan?
So first of all, this is a Big Ten conference game. I'm not sure why we're talking about it for the national title. Or no, that's next year. There's a Big Ten conference game. Secondly, all this money, the money's going to come based on Dylan Johnson. All right, in terms of a wise guy move, Washington's running back, who's really, he's been a difference maker for them. Absolutely. He's an impact player. At the college level, sometimes you see the impact running backs, and this is a guy who can legitimately affect the point spread. Dylan Johnson's injury is a concern. With the Johnson injury, the money came for Michigan. I don't see it doing anything. 4.5 right now is where this number is going to sit. You may see some 4s, you may see some 5s, but when it comes to key numbers, it's not moving a whole lot from where we currently sit. And the total's not going anywhere either. 55.5. We haven't seen any, there's some books open 55, some books open 56, 56.5, and the money's right in between early. So that tells us this line and this total, both not likely to move a whole lot between now and kickoff based on anything other than injuries. And obviously the big injury for Washington is their star RB. who's been huge for them down the stretch. So that's something to pay attention to. That's the only thing I can see moving this number in any real way between now and kickoff.
Sure, Tay. And just to follow up to that, running backs mattering more in college football in your handicap than in the NFL?
An elite running back in college football, when there's not necessarily an elite backup, is worth something.
Okay.
I mean, in the NFL, running backs don't matter at all. Okay, running backs are completely interchangeable. From whether it's the best running back to the worst, doesn't matter. You put Bijan Robinson or Saquon Barkley on the team with the worst running back, and that doesn't make any difference. In college, definitely when you have an impact back, he can matter, and that's certainly been the case for Washington.
Yeah, I agree, Teddy. Guys, fire away any questions in the live chat in the comments below. We do have a couple minutes here to answer a few. And huge shout out to everybody last week commenting. My quick thoughts on the championship game. I agree with Teddy. And first, need to give you a hats off here, Teddy. Guys, when the semifinals were first announced, the top four, I think it was 3 weeks ago on the opening line report, Teddy went down and said he didn't think a lot of movement on either game. I actually thought Alabama was going to be taking money, but you were right here, Teddy. There wasn't a lot of movement for the semifinal game. So hearing you say that about the national championship, I actually lean towards Washington taking a little bit of money here, Teddy. And the reason being, man, just watching that game with Michael Penix dropping dimes down the field and the talent that the quarterback can have and change the game in college football like that, if he's able to do that against Michigan, I think the 4 in the hook is worth a look here. But really, Kalen DeBoer, their head coach, 25-2 at Washington, 5-0 as an underdog. Think about that. He's been priced as an underdog 5 times in his 2 years at Washington. He's won all 5. They're an underdog here, 4 in the hook. I think it might go down to 3.5 here, Teddy. But I got to tip my cap to you calling it in the semifinal games, man. But yeah, guys, championship game in the books. Any follow-up on that, Teddy? And also a couple questions for you right off the top. Do you know why and how they did the kickoff times for Week 18 in the NFL? Because it's not in the normal rotation order that it is for other weeks. Didn't know if you knew the answer to that one.
So Washington, Michigan, I don't see it moving by more than a half point. All right. I really don't. I mean, maybe it goes down to 4. I'm with you that a lot of people maybe hadn't seen Washington and then they were going to be impressed by Washington.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to move the markets, dude, for a game like this. The limits are really high for a game like this. This is sharp money is going to move this line just like every other one. And I just don't see a bevy of sharp money coming. We saw sharp money showing for Washington this past week against Texas. Again, 4 I could see. 3.5 I can't see. I mean, I've been wrong before, Drew. And certainly if the running back is healthy, maybe it does get to 3.5. If Dylan Johnson can play. But 4.5 if he doesn't at best for the Washington side of the equation. What was the second piece of that? There was something else you asked me as well.
Sure, Dave. And I do agree with you. I don't think they would take money if he's out because he was a heck of a player. But just the timing of the games in Week 18, I don't know the answer to that.
Right. So the idea is to make sure that the NFL's goal is that everyone who has a playoff game or playoff question, this group goes at the same time, and then that group goes at the same time. Okay. So the late games don't have to worry about what the early games did in terms of scoreboard watching. They get to watch, or they get to watch the game as they're going live. So if you adjust the live odds screen in terms of which games are the early games and which games are late game by start time, as opposed to by rotation order, you can kind of see how it plays out. This division's going, that division's going in the early games, and then it switches for the late games. But it has everything to do with the teams that are going at the same time, whether it's early or late, it doesn't give anyone a competitive advantage for being able to rest starters or not rest starters based on the result of another game. So that's how they set it up for Week 18, the final week of the season.
Okay. Shout out to Paul Blakeney over in England watching in. Me as well. He's watching 12, 13 minutes behind. He wanted a shout out. What's up to you, buddy? We get Daryl in the house as well. Teddy, some questions here. Raven Ron asking, is it smart to play against the spread versus higher draft picked NFL teams? We've had some other people commenting throughout the show in terms of it would be better for this team to lose to get a better draft pick. We hear about it in the NBA. Is there any part of that to your NFL handicap in Week 18?
None.
Me
None.
neither.
Just remember last year, Lovie Smith maybe keeps his job if Houston doesn't beat Indy in Indy the last game of the season with Lovie Smith going for 2. The players want to win. Every player, there's not a single player that says, it's in my best interest to play like crap this week so the team can have a higher draft choice to pick someone ahead of me that's going to take my job. It's as irrational as it gets. Every player comes to play. For a coaching staff, similar story. Let's put together, I don't feel like working this week. We'll put together a crappy game plan and then we'll get fired next week. No, that's not, unless you're the Washington Commanders where the entire coaching staff's gone. All right. And it really doesn't matter this week, whatever you do. The Washington Commanders put the best coaching plan together, best game plan together, and the coaching staff's still going to be fired next Monday morning. But with that exception, these coaches are coaching for their careers and their jobs. And there's not a staff. There's not a player that's like, I feel like tanking. I don't buy it. Not even a little.
I'm with you,
That's
Teddy.
for fans.
Yep.
The fans want teams to lose. Nobody else.
And just a side note here, real quick. Does it affect you in the NBA at all? I know you've had success betting the NBA.
NBA, so I mean, you can't. It's such a different animal compared to the NFL.
Right.
The NBA's got games every day, and there's certainly teams that don't appear to be that interested in winning, and the guys on those teams don't appear to be that interested in winning. But you see a lot of that in March. I love betting against some of these dead teams in the NBA in March because you just bet against them again and again and again, and the effort's not there. But it's a very, one game a week versus 3-4 games a week is a real different mindset for how you're going to approach teams and how you're going to approach betting on or against them.
Final NFL opening line report of the regular season in the books here, guys. In 6 days, but we're back to Mondays, guys. Next Monday, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. We will be breaking down playoff odds here, NFL opening line report style. Please smash that like button and comment below, guys. Any questions, we'll answer them on next week's show because we will have some more time, less games. But Teddy, throw it back over to you. Any final thoughts here for the show before we shut it down?
No, we're out of time, guys. I really appreciate all the likes, really appreciate all the follows. We do want to let you guys know about the one of the many special offers that we have at WagerTalk.com this week. That includes an real simple 30-day all access pass, $2.99. You get a week for free. So get 37 days for the price of 30. My page, Drew pays everyone's page at WagerTalk.com. Best of luck. Enjoy the games. We'll see you guys next Monday.
Teddy covers. Drew Martin, check it out, guys. Enjoy the games. See you next Monday. Cash those tickets. Thanks.